Good morning. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Happy Tuesday. All right. Getting the day started. Getting settled in. Hello, Network Bib. How goes it? Hey, Toad Sage, what's up, man? How you doing? You guys having a good start to your week? What am I working on? I am working. So, yesterday I was off. Today I'm back to the day job, which is why this is an office hour stream. Because I have to do actual work. Not that the stuff I work on isn't work, it's just back to paying the bills, so to speak. Nice, you're making progress on your exoskeleton. Very cool. Toad Sage, what wrong with Cam Mahone? What are you trying to say, Toad Sage? Are you talking about my camera, maybe? Does my camera look funny? Bacon, never fear. Bacon is here. Nice. Sanskar, what's your role at job? Sanskar, you can actually go and see. My LinkedIn profile is linked in my channel description. So if you want to go take a look at if you want to go take a look at my LinkedIn, you're welcome to. But my day job is a quality engineer. So I do manual and automated testing for a software company that makes a cloud-based platform for managing GRC information. Bacon, I talked. It seems blurry. Oh, okay, let me try to see if I can make that any better. I think it's focused. Let me see. I can try to turn the, maybe it's the light. I'll try to turn the ISO up just a little bit. One sec. It's definitely not the sharpest lens that I have, but I think it looks okay right now. That's pretty cool, Bacon. How'd you get that conversation going? You just call him up? Hey, what's up, Stefan? How you been, man? It's been a minute. You had a busy weekend? I didn't see you around this weekend, so I figured you were probably out doing fun stuff. Me, I was doing some fun stuff. Took Friday off to go on a field trip. Then I had obviously Saturday and Sunday off. And then I took Monday off to celebrate my birthday. And now I have to return. I have to return to the actual work. Stefan, well, you streamed super. Yeah, I did, Stefan. Sorry about that, man. Sunday, let's see. Why did I stream late Sunday? Oh, Sunday night I streamed late because of Easter, and then yesterday I streamed late because of my birthday. But I'm back to regular scheduled programming as of now. I do have a 10:30 meeting today too, so I'll be live for about an hour, and then I have to jump and head to a meeting. You know, because meetings are where the real work gets done, guys. I don't know if you all knew that. The real work happens in the meetings. Sanskar, are you a... Oh, you redacted that. Sorry. Sam. Happy belated... Oh, I appreciate that, man. That's very kind of you. Stefan, well, there you go. Thanks for the birthday wishes too, Stefan. I appreciate that. Yeah, it was good, man. I'm 30, so I'm officially 32 years old. Yeah, 32-year-old dad of two. Definitely is crazy to think I've been out of college for 10 years. Yeah, 10 years now. I graduated when I was 20. Let's see. I graduated in May, and I turned 23 the April before. So about 10 years I've been out of college. Sam, why do you stream in shorts mode? Primarily, Sam, just because it seems to help with discoverability. It seems like whenever I stream horizontal, you know, I don't show up in a lot of people's feed. And so, let's see, in February, I started trying to stream to YouTube and TikTok. Well, I guess I should say what really started it was I wanted to stream to YouTube and TikTok, right? And so TikTok is very much vertical first. I know you can do horizontal over there now too, but it's very much vertical first. So I started doing vertical so I could pump my stream to both of those places. But then I noticed on YouTube, the viewership or discoverability was way better on streams when I was streaming vertically. And so I just stuck with it. And then I dropped the TikTok stream because TikTok was always dead. And so that's what I've been doing now. Network bib. Your channel is growing fast. Yeah, I honestly don't know what fast is. I think we've talked about this several times. Like, I don't worry too much about the numbers, you know? As long as I feel like streaming and I'm having fun, I'm going to keep doing it, you know? Otherwise it's just another job, you know? And I already have one of those. I don't need another one. Sanskar, are you a QA engineer? I need to know what exactly QA does, because I've applied to a similar position, but I don't know even a bit about it. I have tests at May 7th. So Sanskar, typically in the software world, and everybody does everything a little bit differently, it seems like. Software development is very interesting. It's very different than like manufacturing in the sense that there doesn't seem to be a very strong standard way of doing things. So what a DevOps engineer is to one company is different than to another, and what a QA engineer to one company is different to another. But basically my day-to-day work involves doing manual testing around new features that are specified, designed, and built, in addition to writing automated tests for existing functionality, right? So building out kind of regression libraries around existing feature sets in our platform. And yeah, it's good. It's been very interesting. I've learned a lot. It's given me exposure to kind of all bits and pieces of the software development lifecycle. But at the very simplest, your testing features. Sam, that's awesome. Interesting. Yeah, I don't, it's something I stumbled across, Sam. And I could be completely wrong, but I just was like, wow, there's way more people here when when I stream vertically than when I stream horizontally. Hey, what's up, Clay? Long time no see, man. Hope you're doing well. Kogarashi. Hey, what's up, Kogarashi? How are you doing, man? It's good to see you guys. Familiar faces. Voldy. What's up, Voldy? How are you? Yar, matey. Voldemort has entered the chat. Clay Meekin. You have a good day too, Clay. Clay, thanks for stopping by and popping in and saying hi, man. We appreciate it. Hope you have a good day, dude. See you, Toad Sage. Thanks for hanging out, man. Have a good day. Richard. Hello, Richard. I like your username. Thanks for stopping in and saying hi. First time I've seen you in the chat. Sanskar. I've tried DevOps too, but left because I didn't like writing Linux commands. Yeah, that seems like it might be a deal breaker. I'm into programming, but I also don't want to lose any opportunity to get employed, so I try every domain. Yeah, Sanskar, I mean, honestly, I didn't come from a tech background. So yeah, if I was in your shoes and I needed a job, I'd be hustling the same way. I'd be like, look, I'm smart. I got a lot of skills. I'm just trying to get established and get my foot in the door. So yeah, I wouldn't pigeonhole yourself if you don't have to, especially if you can demonstrate an aptitude or ability to do the work. I mean, a lot of getting a job just comes down to the same thing it takes to sell or build a business. It just takes hustle. You just have to be willing to kind of work your tail off and try to find a way in. I remember my first job. I've told this story before on stream, but my first job when I was 15 was making sandwiches at a restaurant called Quiznos here in the U.S. And I remember I was 15. I remember going in for the interview. The interview was with a guy named Blake Tingle, and I think he still operates some businesses back in my hometown. He doesn't operate those businesses anymore. But I remember sitting down for the interview and just being super nervous. My mom took me, obviously. I was 15. I couldn't drive. I remember leaving the interview, getting into the car, and on the way home, my mom was talking to me about, how did it go? How'd you feel it went? Yada, yada, yada. And then at some point in the conversation, she was like, you need to call and follow up. Make sure that they know that you're interested. And I was like, yeah, but what if I call and they get annoyed with me because I'm calling all the time? And she was like, no, it'll be, just call, ask where they are with filling that position, let them know you're still interested. And honestly, that's what I did. Like every day after that interview, I would just call and be like, hi, my name's Stephen Freeborn. I'm checking in to see if you filled this position. Just wanted to make sure you all knew I was still very interested and waiting to hear back. And I don't know if it was out of sheer annoyance or what, but like after like the 5th or 6th day of calling, I finally got the job. And granted, this was not like a high-paying, high-stakes job, but that lesson, I've applied that lesson to basically every job I've ever gotten, where I just keep following up until somebody says, stop calling us, or the position has been filled, or yes, we'd like to move forward with you. So yeah, I mean, it just comes down to hustle, a numbers game, being willing to put yourself out there. What's up, Butterscotch? How are you doing? Yeah, don't even worry about missing streams, dude. You got a life. You know what I mean? You gotta live your life. Richard, I'm into basic programming, Laravel, Vue, Postgres, SQL. I'm really happy, just FY. Very cool, man. I'm glad you're doing well. I don't know anything about Laravel. I know a little bit about Vue, and I know a little bit about Postgres. Um, so yeah, man, sounds like we have some overlapping interests. I really like Vue, honestly. The last 4 front end things I built have been in Vue. My favorite thing about Vue is the like built-in support for dependency injection, the provide and inject system. I really like that so much. To me, that feels so much more natural and such a much better way than React's context API, in my opinion. I know there's probably people that disagree with me, but I really enjoy that. And that probably comes from like having a C# background, where dependency injection is so fundamental now to the framework over there in .NET world. Voldy, my first support was at a call center. Had to be a tech support agent. Oh, interesting. Voldy, I'll bet you had some interesting calls, man. Let's see. Bacon, networking is always good. Yes, totally agree, Bacon. 100%. I would say after a certain point, your networks very quickly supersedes any ability to list skills and experiences on your resume. You know. Much easier when somebody is willing to co-sign for you. Much easier to get a job that way. Couldn't agree more. I always tell my kids, my kids are, growing up and trying to prepare them for the world they're going to enter, and I always tell them that, like, it's largely about who you know, but even more importantly, it's about who knows you and what they know about you. And so you should really spend a lot of time and energy making sure that as many people know about you and that they know exactly what it is you want them to know about you, right? Like when they think of Steven Freeborn, you want them to think, does a good job, has a good follow through, is organized, right? You want to, it goes back to that whole idea of like a personal brand, but not like an icky influencer way, but like a personal brand in the sense of like, how do people perceive you and your work is uber important. It's mostly old people wondering about something that wouldn't be so hard for a normal computer user. Well, that's not bad. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I always have a lot of empathy for older people, in terms of like their aptitude for technology. Because when you really think about it, you think of somebody who's like my grandparents' age, they're in their 70s or their 80s, and like just think of how much the world has changed, right? If you were somebody that was born in like the 1940s, either middle of World War II or immediately following World War II, like the world has such drastically changed, right? And granted, I know that's not an excuse for them not to keep up, but you can just imagine, right? If you were born in 1940, in 2000 you would have been 60 years old. So you would have lived the majority of your life never having needed to interact really much with a computer or know about the internet. The internet really wasn't even much of a thing yet. And then all of a sudden from 2000 to 2020, right? Let's just set it at 2020. I mean, think of how much the world changed in terms of technology, right? It's kind of wild. Bacon, I love old people. I'm a big history nerd, so I always have so many questions. Yeah, I agree. It's very interesting to listen to them talk about the way things were. Couldn't agree more there. Sanskar, you have any plan making a NeoVim tutorial? I'm impressed seeing you use it. I'm trying to switch. Currently, I'm using NeoVim extension VS Code. Help me transition. So Sanskar, right now, I don't have any intention of doing a NeoVim tutorial, largely because I just don't think I have a ton more value to add. If I was you, I would really go look at NeoVim for Noobs. I can link you to it, NeoVim for Noobs. That was what really helped me transition Sanskar from from VS Code to getting NeoVim somewhat configured to my, to be a VS Code alternative. And so I at this point, it's like, I'll just defer to that guy. I'll just defer to Typecraft. At this point, I feel knowledgeable enough to explain when I figure something out, which is why I've made a few videos on just like, hey, I got this debugger working, or this is how I added this plugin to my existing config. But I do not feel up to snuff to actually teaching a tutorial of like, here's how you use NeoVim and here's how you configure it, because I'm just constantly learning. Like even yesterday, somebody was teaching me in chat a shortcut, because I'm sure it's painful for very good Vim foo users to watch me use NeoVim. I'm sure it's very painful for them. But I'm happy. I would be happy, Sanskar, obviously, to lend you any support or advice or help you if you get stuck at anything. I'm happy. I'm be more than happy to lend my ear. Especially, you could join our Discord. We have a Discord server. The invite link is in my channel links on my main YouTube page. So if you watch NeoVim for Noobs, I think that would get you pretty far along for getting things configured. But obviously, if you're doing, very specific areas of development, like if you're doing C# or you're doing something with Go or any of those things, that you're going to get a little bit off the beaten path, right? And so, I'd be more than happy to lend my ear. There's also people in our Discord that are much more sophisticated NeoVim users than probably I'll ever be. Butterscotch, maybe he meant about configuring NeoVim. Yeah, and like I mean, probably 75% of my configs are from that NeoVim for Noobs course. Maybe 25% are things I've added, right? Like the .NET and C# related configs are things I've added. I added some configuration for like being able to do, run tests within NeoVim, that sort of thing. But always happy to help you with more specifics. Richard, I've always been fascinated by NeoVim. It looks like you control the whole matrix. I know, doesn't it? And actually, so Richard, Richie, where it came in for me was I like to watch the Primeagen. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, but he's a pretty big creator and streamer. And I've been watching him for like a year and a half now pretty consistently. And every time I watch him, I think, man, that looks, whatever he's doing right there, how the way he's editing his code looks so much more fun than the way I edit my code. And as I found out more about what he was doing and using NeoVim, and he talks a lot about it, obviously, on stream, my interest was piqued, but I always was kind of held back by this like overwhelm of like, okay, like I like VS Code because I can debug. I can debug tests. I can run tests in VS Code. I have an integrated terminal. There was all these things about VS Code that I thought, man, if I'm going to recreate that experience in NeoVim, one, I'm not sure I can do it. And two, am I going to spend a bunch of time doing that instead of actually being productive, like building stuff? And so in January, one night when I was laying in bed, I stumbled across those NeoVim for Noobs videos. I watched them all, and immediately I was convinced, like, okay, I think I can make NeoVim work for my workflow, the ways I like to work. And then two, it kind of reassured me that, like, hey, I'm going to be able to basically get my configurations to a point, which is going to take some upfront investment, but then I can sort of let them be. You know, I don't have to constantly be overhauling them. So yeah, it's been good. I've really enjoyed it. I may not always stick with NeoVim. I will always use Vim Motions, right? Regardless of the editor, I'm always going to try to stick with practicing Vim Motions. But for the moment, I'm having fun. Sanskar, I also got influenced by Primeagen. Yes, he has a big reach. i3 is a tiling window manager. Does i3 work on Windows, Bacon? Butterscotch. The NeoVim Kickstart guide got me pretty far. Most of my NeoVim config is based off of it. Yes, and I know there's a couple, like the DHH has kind of a base NeoVim configuration type thing. So I know there's quite a few sort of basically like, you know, use this starting point, right? Like Kickstart, and, you know, 95% of what you need is going to be in there. So maybe that makes sense for some people. I kind of wanted that experience of of going through the process of setting up the configuration and understanding why things are where they are. You know, I wanted to be able to kind of really know the configs, which is kind of why I started following videos that took me from, you know, ground zero up to where I'm at now. Sam, do you think anything is missed from the NeoVim for Noob series? So Sam, my one thing was, I think there was probably room to go deeper on how to set up the necessary bits to run tests, right? To have like a test explorer and a test runner. And then also could have spent more time on configuring debuggers and configuring the UI for doing debugger. Or using a debugger. The thing is, from what I gather from the rabbit holes I've been down myself, that debugging using a debugger is not really the thing that what I want to say. Using a debugger to debug code doesn't seem to be what the NeoVim community does. It seems like a lot of people who are in the NeoVim world seem to be very much printf debuggers, which is fine. It's just a different workflow. They also seem to be much more terminal based, so the need to try to configure UIs around test explorers or debuggers or test runners within an editor is less of a concern. So I don't think necessarily it's like a shortcoming on that video series. I think it's just a byproduct of like the type of programmer who uses NeoVim and the type of programming they do and the way they work. Because obviously, like if you learned how to code using something like Visual Studio, you have a completely different workflow than somebody who learned to code in Notepad++, right? So like if you were doing like, you know, let's say you're doing like Ruby on Rails development using TextMate versus somebody doing C# development in VS, the way you go about debugging, testing, coding, just in general, your workflow is completely separate, completely different. So yeah, that would be the one critique I would have. Hey, what's up, Artwork Studio? How are you? Let's see. No, i3WM is not natively designed or intended to run on Windows. Well, that would kind of kill it for me at the moment. I'm not prepared to change OS at the moment. Not that I would never, just I'm not prepared to do it at the moment. But I'll put that one in my back pocket, you know? Artwork Studio, school is tough. It really is, man. It really is. School is tough. I always tell my kids, I always tell them, like, you guys have the hardest job right now. You got to go to school for 8 hours a day, sit in a chair, follow instructions. Yeah. Ask when you want to go to the bathroom. It's kind of a tough environment, man. There was a whole chess something before school. I don't know what that ROIND word means. Sam, that's for sure. Nail it on the head there. Yeah, it's just different. And that's why when I had started going down the rabbit hole of like setting up debuggers and setting up test runners in NeoVim, that's why I made some videos around that stuff, because it did take me down sort of a little bit of a rabbit hole. And so I thought, let me share back what I've learned and what I figured out. But it's definitely not throwing shade at people, or throwing shade at people who work in that way, right? I totally understand that's a valid and perfectly fine way of approaching your workflow. It's not my workflow, Let's see. Bacon says you can use WSL on Windows. I do have WSL set up on my Windows machine. I don't use it a ton. It seems like whenever I need to go into the Linuxy world, I just SSH over into one of the 2 Linux servers I have, and I'll play there. Senscar, I started programming in BASIC. I don't know if people know about it or not. I don't see people so I know of BASIC. I know of Visual Basic. I've never written any line of code in it. I know for a lot of people, though, that's where they started. Gareth, the Gentle Hand. Playwright or Cypress? Oh, Gareth, don't even get me started. Yeah, Playwright, hands down. Time and time again. I mean, Cypress is fine. There's nothing like necessarily inherently wrong with Cypress, but if you've used Playwright, if you've used Selenium or you use Cypress, and then you go to Playwright, I don't know how you wouldn't want to stay there forever using Playwright for automated tests, in my opinion. I'm curious to see what you think, Gareth, if you agree or disagree with that. Bacon, I have never tried learning C. I've never done any kind of project or anything kind of around that area. So I haven't ever needed to write real low-level code like that. So I've never wrote any C. Let's see, Richie says, Linux is cool. I ended up with MacBook Pro. Do not regret a single day owning it. Yeah, Richard, if you had asked me 9 years ago, I would have told you I'll always own MacBooks, or I'll always own Mac OS computers. Then I had a family. I had 2 kids and a wife who was a stay-at-home mom, and the price of Apple computers just kept going up and up and up, and it's like I kept looking at like, okay, if I want to get 16 gigabytes of RAM in a MacBook Pro, I'm paying $1,500 or $2,000, if I also want to upgrade the hard drive. And then I look over in the Windows realm, and it's like I can get 16 gigabytes of RAM and 2 terabyte SSD for the same price, or half the price in most cases. And so that was really the reason I switched to using Windows. And I've had Windows laptops for the last 8 or 9 years. It's just the price of Apple products is kind of, in my opinion, almost out of hand a little bit. And I know with the new chip architectures, you can't really compare. It's hard to it's kind of like apples and oranges comparison now, but just a money thing, trying to make the dollar go as far as I can. Network Bib, did you hear from Nikki? I did not hear from Nikki. I haven't seen that guy or heard from him, so I don't know, man. I'm kind of leaning towards he was kind of a sketchy dude, maybe, who maybe had some ulterior motives for interacting with our chat in the community here, and maybe was trying to do some sketchy stuff, because he did just kind of fall off the face of the earth. And maybe something more sinister happened to him, and that's super unfortunate, but Yeah, haven't seen hide nor tail of him. Artwork Studio. So Steven, how are you? Any projects you're working on? So Artwork Studio is the one I've been kind of fixated on for the last week or so, has been that MCP server. Which has been good. It's been fun. I've been working on it pretty slowly. I'd like to kind of put that to bed because I have another project that's much more AI or generative AI related that I'd like to spend some more concrete time on. My problem right now is just hours in the day, man. Between family, working out, work, making content, I just run out of hours. Sleeping, unfortunately, I have to sleep. Hey, Stefan, good to see you back, man. Let's see, Bacon. Bacon, I appreciate you helping Artwork Studios figure out the Discord piece of it. That's very kind of you. I do really appreciate. I know it's hard. It's hard for me, I think, to keep up with all the, even with just like a few viewers. I'm terrible at being able to keep up with all the threads of conversation going on. So I appreciate it when people maybe ask a question and I miss it and people jump in and help. I don't know how people like the Prime Engine. These guys who have millions of subscribers and thousands of viewers at one time. I don't know how they keep up with their chat. It's unbelievable. Seems like it was Nikki all along. Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Stefan. Stefan, the next evolution, use free. So actually, that's kind of interesting. I started working on a little. So if you guys have ever heard of Derek Sivers, he wrote something called Tech Independence. Let me see if I can find it because it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool little article. But he strongly advocates for using free BSD. And so I actually set up a server kind of going through this whole, I put the link in the chat there, this whole tech independence thing with FreeBSD. I don't know much about it or how much it differs from Linux or any of the other OSs. He kind of explains a little bit about it, but I don't know much about it. But I do have a little bit of, what's the term I'm looking for? I have awareness of it, Stefan. Bacon, what was he trying to do? So Bacon, Nikki was a person who was in our chat there for the last couple months, and he was even in our Discord. He seemed like a super nice dude. Didn't troll us or anything. But then all of a sudden, some people in my Discord reported getting some strange messages where he was sending them kind of like spammy, clickbaity links. And so we banned him from Discord, and then he all but just kind of fell off the face of the earth in terms of like my interaction or our community's interaction with him. So, the internet's a hostile place. People, it's just, you kind of have to be everyone benefits from being sort of a skeptic on the internet when you're interacting with people. Voldy, you kind of look like Coding with Lewis. Voldy, that's funny. So, there's been two other people who have told me that in chat, and both of them said that when they originally scrolled into my stream, like when they saw my stream, they thought I was him originally, which is what made them click through. So I guess having a little bit of a look-alike syndrome is a good thing if you're creating content. Price is good point, but typically MacBooks last at least double than Windows laptops. It's really personally through, but Mac Mini M4 is so good. Check it out. So, Richie, that's actually on my Amazon wish list. Is a Mac Mini, because I think that makes sense for me. Like as a price point, the Mac Mini makes the most sense, and probably is where I will re-enter the Mac OS ecosystem at. But I agree. I think there's a lot of arguments that can be made for why MacBooks are priced the way they are. and I know it's probably an unfair comparison comparing that hardware to what I can buy in a Windows-based laptop. So yeah, totally readily admit those shortcomings of my thought process there. Sam, you do a good job with chat, I think. Well, I appreciate that, Sam. I do try to interact with you guys because I feel like that's the whole point of streaming, right? If you're just gonna stream and ignore your chat, why stream? Just make videos. Oh, he uses OpenBSD. Oh, okay, interesting. I didn't know they were different things, Stefan. That is my ignorance. Butterscotch Primogen does not even read his YouTube chats. Well, I mean, to be fair though, when I don't really interact much in his chat, but like if you're watching one of his streams, man, there's like hundreds of messages coming. I don't know how he even would keep up with it. Sam, someone fire the disc. Oh, I can do that for you. I don't mind. I don't mind at all. There you go. Aiden says, what computer do you currently have? Aiden, so I just use I have multiple computers. The newest computer I have is a Asus ZenBook, which is it's like a year and a half or maybe 2 years old now. And then the computer I stream on is a Zephyrus G14, and it's from like 2021 or 2022, I think. It's nothing fancy, you know. I mean, it's like I got it at Best Buy. It was on sale. It was less than like $1,000, I think. You know, it has a GPU. It has a 3060, a laptop card, 3060, 16 gigabytes of RAM. I mean, it's not anything fancy, but it works, you know. Yeah, of course, Sam. Happy to point you in the right direction, man. Artwork Studios. Okay, Steven, almost in. Artwork Studios is in a fight of his life against Discord at the moment. The Mushroom Man. Hi. Hello, the Mushroom Man. Jawad, where do you work? I work at a company called OnSpring. They're based in Kansas City, here in the United States. Again, I always say this whenever my work comes up on stream, is like nothing I do on stream, none of my content is representative of my employer or any thoughts of my employer. You know, it's all my own stuff, all the legal jargon that should go along with that. But that's where I work. It's been a good company to work for. Yeah, no complaints. And you can see, I mean, my LinkedIn's public, so if you search me on LinkedIn, you can see my work history and where I've worked at and how many years and all that stuff. So the Mushroom Man says, at your mom's house? Dude, fuck you. How about you get fucked, Mushroom Man? You either come in here and talk about my mom. Butterscotch, ever thought of streaming on Twitch? Yeah, I did. So that's where originally when I started doing Advent of Code in December, that's what I did. I streamed it all to Twitch, and then I would just post the videos to my YouTube channel. And that's what I was doing in January. And then like middle of January, I think it was like end of January, I tried streaming to Twitch and YouTube. And YouTube had just way more interaction. Like Twitch was like crickets. It was just like dead. I don't think there's a lot of discoverability on Twitch. So if you're a new streamer or a new creator, it's kind of hard, I think, to get viewership over there. So then I gave up the Twitch thing, or I not gave up, but I stopped streaming to Twitch and I started streaming vertically to YouTube and TikTok for a little bit. And then the TikTok thing didn't really seem worth it. So then I have stayed streaming to YouTube at the moment. Network Bib. Wait. You don't build your own PC? We got to talk about that. Yeah, I would love to build a PC. I just haven't taken the time to invest the the money, the time, and the energy into it. Artwork Studios. Somehow I got a super rare error. Well, Artwork Studios, I wish you all the best in your Discord troubles. Stefan said, for laptops, I understand using Macs, but for desktop system, no, just no. So not even, you wouldn't go for the Mac Mini, Stefan? Is that what you're saying? Mac Mini's out for you? Interesting. Voldy, I work for Voyager. So what does Voyager do, Voldy? I think I've heard of that name before. For some reason, I feel like that has something to do with telco. But I can be completely wrong, obviously. Well, a quick Google search says this is an aerospace and defense company. So I'll let you tell me what Voyager does, Voldy. Jawad, what is your LinkedIn? Jawad, if you go to my channel description, if you go to the main page, if you click on my profile picture, go to the main page of my YouTube, and you look at the description for my channel, my LinkedIn is linked there, if you're curious. Because that's honestly, whenever I find a content creator on the interwebs, that's one of the first things I'm always interested in, is like, who is this person? What do they do for work? Do they have a career? So I just put mine out there, like, this is what I do for work. These are the places I work. Stefan, no, never. For modern laptop, I understand if the RAM is soldered on or the CPU and they die. Oh, interesting, Stefan. So you're saying from a desktop perspective, it doesn't make sense to have something you can't upgrade or change over time? That's an interesting take. I definitely see that take, for sure. Voldy, cybersecurity and software development. Okay, cool. So Voyager is more like it's like a consulting firm type of thing, or managed service firm. You guys provide those services to a book of clients. It's pretty cool. Artwork Studios. Oh, does that mean you got in? Let me look at you. Let me see. I bet. Yeah, I have actually 2 members waiting to be approved. Let me get you guys taken care of real quick. There we go. Sorry, sometimes I don't pay attention to the Discord well enough. There we go. Welcome to the Discord, Sam. Welcome to the Discord, Whirling, which I'm assuming is somebody here in the chat. Just different username. Voldy, it's a small local business. Well, that's great, Voldy. Nothing wrong. We love small local businesses. I mean, we're a small business, too. I mean, I think we'd still qualify as a small business. We're only like 100 people. Yeah, Stefan, I totally understand your point there, man. Yeah, I would hate to have to... Yeah, but like $600 though. Like, isn't the entry point for a Mac Mini $600 or something like that? $600-700. You know, I mean, I can imagine if you're gonna get like a Mac Studio or something. If you're gonna pay $2,000 or $3,000 and to upgrade it, you need to buy another $2,000-3,000 computer. Totally get that. But like for a Mac Mini, I mean, I know I shouldn't downplay what $600 is to somebody, but I don't know. It seems like that would be more of a less of a pain point. But I see what you're saying, Stefan. Bacon, Artwork Studio. Yes, I think I accepted both of y'all. Or not Bacon, I guess, but I'm pretty sure I accepted Artwork Studio. I think you're in there. MC add-on. Hello, dear. Hello, MC add-on. That sounded very British. Hello, dear. Oh, I just got the 10-minute alert for my meeting. I have a 10:30, a hard stop at 10:30. Voldy, on top of my work, I also have to manage a 2,000 member Discord server. Voldy, you are deep in the Discord moderation. So do you enjoy doing that work, Voldy? I mean, do you do that work for like community? Are these your communities? Or are you part of communities and you just volunteer to be a mod or to be an admin in these servers? I don't know if I'd like that taking up a lot of my personal time. Stefan, people seem to think that Mac Mini is budget friendly because they just don't know how many budget parts there is for a PC. That's fair, Stefan. That's totally fair. Network Bib, can you stop fucking talking? Hey, Network Bib, it's not all about you, okay? It's not all about you, Network Bib. MD, hi, sir. Hello, MD. How are you doing? Voldy, yeah, mostly. Nice. Okay, well, that's good, man. I'm glad you enjoy doing that work. I'm not sure how I'd feel about that. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a thing, I guess, to think about even with this little community or this little channel that I'm building. Like, yeah, if if the duties of managing a community, you know, begin to suck up a lot of my free time, that just doesn't seem like an activity I would enjoy. So I'll lean on you, Voldy, whenever I get to the point where I feel overwhelmed. Maybe I can say, hey, do you want to help me? I've had several people offer like to be mods in Discord and in the chat, and I've said no because it's like there's only 10 people here, right? So, but if it ever does get out of hand. Our work studio sent some messages. Nice, dude. Well, you're here. I'm glad you're in the chat, dude. And I'm glad you're in the Discord chat. Sam, Mac Mini equals silent, powerful, tiny. And Stefan says, Mac Mini equals cha-ching down the road. Sam, to be fair, if you want to future-proof a custom PC, you need more expensive parts such as motherboard, etc. Interesting. So I'm hearing two interesting points of view on this whole desktop PC. I'm hearing, you know, Mac. If you buy something like the Mac Mini, then you can't upgrade it. And then I'm hearing Stefan, you're saying that, you know, the Mac Mini is the Mac Mini may not be as good of a budget-friendly option as you think because you can build up a PC with budget parts yourself for cheaper and have something better. But now I'm also hearing from Sam that maybe that's not that in order to actually future-proof yourself, you actually need more expensive parts. It's difficult for me to weigh in though because I've never actually built my own PC. So, like, I've never gone through that work of trying to source parts and kit it out and everything. So I'd have to defer to y'all. Jawad, I followed you on LinkedIn. Oh, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I'm happy to and that's the other thing, guys. I'm happy to connect with any of y'all on LinkedIn. So feel free to send me a connection invite. I think the stuffy LinkedIn culture of like, I only connect with people I know in real life. It's like people try to make it seem like they're getting tens of thousands of connection requests a day to make themselves seem important. It's like, bro, you probably get one connection request every couple weeks. MD, is it morning for you? It is. It's 10:24. I've got a meeting at 10:30 a.m. So I'm gonna have to jump here in a little bit. Sorry, MD. I missed your earlier question up above. Yeah, it's morning for me. I'm in the, if you guys ever are curious, I'm in the Central Standard Time Zone. I'm based in Kansas in the United States. Sam, I've made custom PC before, loved it. It's very rewarding. Now I'm older, I prefer the simplicity, and sadly my job requires me to use a Mac. Sam, I I ask myself that all the time, like, uh, and I stole it from Tim Ferriss, but I ask myself all the time, like, what would this look like if it were easy, right? And I think, especially as a parent, like as a, I got a wife, I've got kids, I've got a day job. There are definitely times where I want to take on a project and invest the time and energy to get something out of it. But there are also times where, like, I just need it to work, right? And I don't want to fiddle with it, And I mean, that goes back to that whole NeoVim conversation we had earlier, right? Where, like, if my brother came to me today and said, "Hey, Steven, I want to learn how to code. What editor should I start with?" I wouldn't tell him to go start with NeoVim, because he would spend 3 weeks wrangling with an editor, likely before he ever wrote a line of code. So I would tell him, my brother's name's Lane. I would say, Lane, just go use VS Code, or go use WebStorm or Rider. Just pull down an editor that just works out of the box and get going. There's value to both things, right? It just depends on kind of what your goals are. Like, what are you trying to accomplish? Gareth, thanks for accepting my LinkedIn invitation. Of course, Gareth. And Gareth, you never said, do you prefer Cypress over Playwright or Playwright over Cypress? Sam misses Linux. He's stuck in Macworld. Sorry about that, Sam. Let's see, MD. For me, it's evening. How cool is that? It's wild, MD. That's like the last 2 nights, Sunday and Monday night. We were making the joke that we were time traveling, because there were people, it was already the next day, and I was stuck in the past. So it's, time zones are weird, man. It's a mind fuck. It really is. Stefan, at the end of the day, we are all part of the Unix world, whether we like it or not. Yeah, that is true. I mean, which is pretty wild to think. Well, I guess if you're on Windows, you're not really part of the Unix world, right? I mean, you're Unix-like, I guess, but not really. I mean, Linux, maybe Unix influenced. I don't know what the right word is. Butterscotch, I'm waiting on Zed for Windows. Looks promising. Yes, so Butterscotch, that's actually one of the things I want to do on stream, is try Zed. And Stefan was the one who recommended it. And Stefan was also the one who told me the same thing he just told you, because I was like, because he told me, hey, you need to try Zed. And I was like, dude, I'm on Windows. I can't try it. And then he said, oh, by the way, you can install it with Scoop, which is what he just said in his comment back to you. So I still need to give it a try. Stefan, what is your phone using? What is your router? Okay, Stefan. Yes, good. Yes, you're right. I'm a Unix user for sure. It's just, I meant like OS. I meant like in the OS world, right? All right, guys. It's 10:29. I have to jump and run to an actual meeting. Do some more work. But I'll be live. I'm planning to take. Let me look at my calendar really quick. I'm planning to take lunch at 2 p.m. Central Standard. So if you're around then, I'll be live. And I haven't really made up my mind. I think I actually want to do a little bit of learning. I want to go back to doing a little bit of learning Go today while I stream. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I think that's what I'm going to do this afternoon. Take a little break from the MCP server. So if y'all are around, stop in. Otherwise, thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye, y'all.